So the new combine is worth $370,000, and each year it's depreciating by 10% of the previous year. So we have to make a decision how much this is worth. Often organizing your data will help you. Yes. So we have to decide if we're going to make our term 1 $370,000. That is how much it's worth at the beginning of the year. Yeah, I forgot 10, right? Thank you. So if we're making that our term 1, at the end of that year, it's going to depreciate 10%. So we talked about in the last question how to do a shortcut for increasing by doing 1.008, or taxes you can multiply by 1.13, because that's increasing the price by 13%. What is a shortcut for decreasing something? Yeah, you take your 1 and you minus 10% off it, or you take 100% and subtract 10%. So if you take 10% off, how much is left? 90%. So if I do 90% of $370,000, that means at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the next year, it is worth $333. I did it on my calculator. And I did from here to here, I did $370,000 times by 0.9, because if it's going down by 10%, 90% would be left. You can use the same strategy at a store. If you're trying to buy something for $20 and it says it's 30% off, you can take 0.7, because that's 70%, times by 20 to find out that you're going to pay $14 for that item. A little bit quicker maybe than doing 30% of 20 is 6 and subtracting to get 14. I'm not sure. Maybe it's about the same. So now we found out this is how much it's worth at the end of the first year. And it wants you to estimate the value by writing it down for each one. I'm going to show you something on your calculator here. So if I write $370,000 times by 0.9 and push enter, it gives me that next value. If you just go times by 0.9 again, it automatically takes your previous answer, so you don't have to rewrite it, which is nice. And push enter, it gives that value again. And then if you're doing a pattern that you want to keep doing that pattern, you can just push enter again. And you don't even have to times that again, and push enter again and again. And now you just drag your calculator screen, sometimes that works, to your notepad, and you don't even have to write things down. So we've got term 3 at the end of the second year will be 299,700. Term 4 at the end of the third year, 69730. And term 5, so there it is at the end of each of the first 5 years. Question, which is the end of the 5th year? Term 5, term 4, or term 6? Term 6 is the end of the 5th year. Because I chose 370,000 as my term 1. That was at the beginning of the first year. Here is what it's equal to at the end of the first year, end of the second, third, fourth, and so term 6 is at the end of the 5th year. So what kind of sequence have we made? We've made a geometric sequence because each time we're multiplying by 0.9. So our R value would be 0.9. Predict the value of the combine at the end of 10 years. According to this, which term would we be trying to find? Term 11. So now that I recognize that it is a geometric sequence, and I want to find term 11, because that would be the end of 10 years, my term 1 is $370,000. My R value is 0.9, because it's always 90% of what it was before. And here will be 11 minus 1, or 10. Type that into our calculator, and I'd like you to check, because some of the ones on the answer key are off. I think they might have found the wrong term, but this way that is all the decimals. Probably a good estimate would just be $129,000 at the end of 10 years. Is that the answer they have for 15? Yes, so they have it right. Good.